What's up, guys? Make sure you give me a follow over on Twitter right now at @StoneShields_. Like I've told you guys, starting to get more active on that platform. All of our shows will be posted to my Twitter as well as all the Bengals training camp updates that you need. We're trying to get to 300 followers, and I believe we're almost there. I think we're about 4 or 5 followers away from hitting that mark. And I'll even give a shout out to the 300th follower on Twitter. So do me a favor. Follow me on Twitter at @StoneShields_ for all of the latest Bengals news, rumors, and updates. Houday Nation, what's going on? Stone Shields on hand for another edition of Bengals Breakdown. And things are really starting to pick up, right? Because the Bengals had their annual media luncheon yesterday at Paycor Stadium, where all the beat writers, not all of them, but a good amount of beat writers were there and got some good information from the Bengals brass. And really, this is, the most news that we have gotten over the last 3 months combined yesterday. So basically, the members of the media sat down with guys like Duke Tobin, owner Mike Brown, okay, Zac Taylor, the coordinators, pitcher, and Anarumo and Simmons as well. Sat down for about 10 to 15 minutes with each of those guys and really could just ask them whatever they wanted to. It's always a great time of the year when this happens because you start to get a little bit more insight onto what exactly is going down with the Cincinnati Bengals as we head into training camp. And one of the main things that was discussed was the potential extension for Ja'Marr Chase. Mike Brown called Ja'Marr Chase the second best player on the team and really emphasized his value, which was great to see from the owner of the Cincinnati Bengals. Here's exactly what Mike Brown said. He said, well, we're going to try hard. If you were listing our guys 1-2, you just did it, and he knows that. We know it, but it has to get done. We have both this year and next year where we have rights to Ja'Marr, so maybe it'll take longer than we wish. I wish it were done, but I understand why it isn't, and it's part of the NFL. It's part of the NFL of today. He's a key player next to Joe. He's our next one. He knows that. We know it. This may take a while. We are going to bend over backwards to get it done. I can't tell you when. So that brings us to the pinned comment of today's show. Will Ja'Marr Chase get a new deal this year? Type Y for yes or N for no in the comments. We'll dive into all this in a second, but it's your chance to get interactive with our video today. So if that ad comes here on YouTube, that's fine. Take advantage of it. Get down there and vote at the pinned comment. All right, so Mike Brown said all the right things here, which I was really pleased with because, throughout his career, he's like 89 years old now. He's said some questionable things, but ever since the Joe Burrow era has started, I feel like he's really done a great job as an owner. And it's really nice to see him be like, okay, he understands how good of a football player Ja'Marr Chase is, and he understands that Ja'Marr Chase needs to be in Cincinnati for the long term. So I still feel like a deal doesn't get done until next year, just kind of the way the NFL works, which is what Mike Brown alluded to. Obviously this will be, Ja'Marr Chase's 4th year, but they still have that 5th-year option because he was taken in the first round when he was drafted. So, really happy with what Mike Brown had to say. Obviously, you wish it gets done this offseason, but I think Ja'Marr would be more than happy to, kind of go forward with this year and then try to become the highest paid wide receiver in the NFL next year. The cornerback situation was also something that was talked about at this luncheon, and Duke Tobin made it very, very clear that the Bengals have no plans of signing a veteran cornerback. We've kind of thrown around some names previously on the show of guys that the Bengals might be targeting, but again, I'm not surprised at all that the Bengals are just sticking with what they've got and keeping their young DBs and kind of rolling with them. We'll dive into that more in a second. But first, I want to give a shout out to our friends over at Game Time because today's show is presented by Game Time. I love the summer because Major League Baseball is in full swing, and I love making the walk down the street from our Chat Sports offices to a Reds game every chance I get. I had a great win against the Braves last night. I know producer Chris was thrilled about that. So, just good to see the Reds get a win after, getting swept by the Nationals. Prices on the Game Time app actually go down the closer it gets to the first pitch. With killer last-minute deals, all-in prices, views from your seat, and their lowest price guarantee, Game Time takes the guesswork out of buying MLB tickets. With the NFL season just over a month away, you can get your tickets to watch the Cincinnati Bengals. And Game Time doesn't just have sporting events. They also have concerts, comedy, theater, and more. Game Time has so many features that I really appreciate in a ticketing app. They've got those last-minute flash deals. Again, they got views from your seat, kind of a panoramic look about where you're going to be sitting before you purchase the ticket. And they also have that lowest price guarantee, which is the best part about Game Time. Take the guesswork out of buying MLB tickets or NFL tickets or any kind of tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code CHATSPORTS for $20 off your first purchase. Check out gametime.co for last-minute tickets. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code CHATSPORTS for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last-minute tickets, lowest price, guaranteed. So here's what Duke Tobin had to say about the cornerback situation in Cincinnati. He said, "Are we going to sign a veteran? No, probably not. I like what we've got there. We've got young guys that can run and cover and who have a lot of upside to them. We've got some new guys working in there, and it will be exciting to see how they do. Do I feel like we have an immediate need for a veteran to make our team? No." And really, this doesn't surprise me at all, right? Cincinnati isn't the kind of team that'll go out there and make a splashy move like that as training camp approaches. Now, if somebody gets hurt, I think this certainly could change. But right now, I totally understand them doing this. And again, it doesn't surprise me at all that they would just roll with the guys that they have. But that situation at cornerback is certainly going to be a close one to monitor going forward. But it shows you they have such a large amount of belief in those young guys. And a lot of those guys were drafted highly, right? Dax Hill's a first-round guy. DJ Turner's second-round guy. So they've allocated a lot of draft capital towards that room, and they're certainly going to go out there and try to execute with those guys, taking a look at who exactly is in that room for Cincinnati. Like I said, DJ Turner, Dax Hill, two highly drafted guys, going to be out there competing for that CB2 spot, as well as obviously Cam Taylor-Britt, who really has established himself as a cornerback one in this league. So really excited to see what they're going to do with these young guys. And once again, not surprised at all that they're not going to be bringing in another veteran at that position. So what is your one-word reaction to Duke Tobin, Bengals Director of Player Personnel, saying that Cincinnati won't add a cornerback? Wasn't surprised at all, personally, but I want to know what you think. Are you a little ticked off about it? Are you surprised, perhaps, that it wasn't done? But let me know down in the comment section right now what you think. Something else that was also touched on at this luncheon was the fact that there really is a battle at right tackle. And Zac Taylor made it clear that Trent Brown is by no means a shoo-in for the starting right tackle spot week 1 of the 2024 season. Here's what the Bengals head coach had to say. He said, "That's one of the things I talked about with Trent before we even signed him. That doesn't take off the table. We may draft in the first round a tackle. All the things that come with that. That brings out the competitor in everybody." You can imagine what his response was. "Fine, I'm the best there is." So that's great competition. Great for everybody. We're going to need all the depth we've got up front. I wouldn't even call it a problem. It's really a good situation to have. And keep in mind, this was a bold prediction of mine, a couple of shows ago here on Bengals Breakdown, me going out there and saying, Mims might be the guy week 1. And Zac Taylor, his comments have made it clear that this is a wide-open competition. And despite the fact that Amarius Mims hasn't played a ton of football so far in his career, in college, doesn't mean he's not, going to be able to go out there and compete week 1, because the Bengals love this guy. They really do. I think they would have taken him, if they were picking higher, they would have taken him higher. And they really felt happy that he kind of fell into their lap, picking where they picked just because he hadn't played that much in college. And this is a real competition. Like I was saying, I don't believe Trent Brown is a shoo-in at all. I think he's a really good player, and we'll find a role on this team. But Amarius Mims is really going to bring it at training camp, and I don't think that right tackle spot is established just because they brought Trent Brown in free agency. And one last thing before we get out of here, they did discuss an Evan McPherson extension. Mike Brown and Duke Tobin made it sound like it was only a matter of time before an Evan McPherson extension happened. And we'll dive into that in one moment, but make sure you guys are subscribed to our channel here at Bengals Breakdown for all the latest Bengals training camp coverage coming to you guys. That's youtube.com/BengalsTV. We've got you covered. News, rumors, highlights, you name it. We've got it here at Bengals Breakdown. Hit that sub button right now. So here's what Duke Tobin said on a potential Evan McPherson extension. He said, yeah, I think that's a possibility that it could come together. It could come together as we're talking here. It could come together next week. It could come together never. Is that a big enough window between 10 seconds from now and 10 years from now? A little bit of a joke there from Duke Tobin. Taking a look at kind of the highest paid kickers in the league right now, I think Evan McPherson is going to, take that number one spot. Kicker contracts are pretty straightforward, so I don't think there really is too much to negotiate here. I think Evan McPherson and his team are bringing up an appropriate number. And like I said, I don't think it'll take long at all for this deal to get done. I would say within the next couple of weeks for sure, Evan McPherson and the Cincinnati Bengals will have reached an extension. But before we get out of here, one last time for you guys to get interactive in the comments section. Let me know who you think gets an extension first. If you think it's going to be Jamar Chase, type C. If you think it's going to be Evan McPherson, type M. I'm definitely typing M on this one. I think, like I said, McPherson will have one done in only a matter of time. Jamar, I think he's going to have to wait till next offseason. But let us know what you think right now down in the comments section.